today we're doing P6, Rational Expressions, Day 2. This is our last section of Chapter P, and your learning goal is for you to be able to add and subtract and simplify complex fractions. So we'll start with adding. Adding and subtracting, you have to have a common denominator, and sometimes you're going to have to factor the denominator as well. So let's start. We'll do a subtraction first. And I'm going to do the same denominator. So as long as the denominators are the same, we can subtract them. So, and you subtract like terms. So 5x minus 4x is 1x. 1 minus negative 2 is 3. And then once you get here, you want to make sure that you factor your denominator, because sometimes you can divide things that are alike. Before you do that, you always want to do your exclusions. And I wrote that wrong. So in this case, x cannot equal negative 3 and 3. Then you see if you can divide any common factors, which those will divide. Your answer will be 1 over x minus 3. Now sometimes nothing will cancel, but it's okay if it doesn't. Okay? So that's the subtraction, and addition works the same way, so we can try an addition problem as well. Let me go to the next page. Okay, so here's an addition problem. Remember, as long as the denominators are the same, you can add the top, combining like terms. So x squared has nothing to add with. Negative 4x plus positive 4x is gone. And then you have the negative 4 that's by itself. So here, I'm going to factor the denominator. This is where factoring is going to come into place. And the numerator can be factored. I have to state my exclusions. So x can't equal 3 and negative 2. Then I divide my like terms. So my answer is x minus 2 over x minus 3. And then you're done. Now, if you have no common denominators, this is where it gets tricky. Then you have to get a common denominator. And the way that you do that is you multiply the top and bottom so that both denominators will be exactly the same. So in this case, it'll be x minus 3, x minus 2. And then in the numerator, you'll just distribute. So you'll get 8x minus 24 plus 2x minus 4. And then you combine like terms, and you'll get 10x minus 28 over x minus 3, x minus 2. Now, you always want to make sure that you simplify if you can, just to see if you can factor it out. Don't forget to write your exclusions. x cannot equal 3 or 2. And if I factor numerator, I could take out a 2, and I'll be left with 5x minus 14. But if you notice, nothing cancels. So we leave it like this. Okay, sometimes you'll have more than 2 factors. I'm going to factor my first denominator. And here's my second. All right, if you notice, the first denominator has an x plus 2 and an x plus 1. So that one's good. This denominator needs an x plus 2. This denominator needs an x plus 1. That way, they all are alike. So in the first numerator, this one can stay like it is. The second one, I'm going to have to distribute a negative 3x. So that's negative 3x squared minus 6x. And then the third one, I'm going to have to distribute 5. So I'm going to get positive 5x plus 5. And then from here, you just combine like terms. So I'm going to combine the x squares and get positive x squared. Then I'll combine, I have a positive x and a negative 6x, which is a negative 5x, plus that 5x, so my x terms are gone. Then I have a negative 6 and a 5, that makes negative 1. Okay, so then I'm going to factor my numerator. And before I divide, I'm going to write my exclusions. X cannot equal negative 2 or negative 1. These will divide to equal 1. So my answer is x minus 1 over x plus 2. And sometimes it'll work out like that, and other times, it won't. So it just depends. Now let's go to complex fractions. A complex fraction is when you have like fractions over fractions. You just have a bunch of fractions. So what I usually do is, well, first of all, put those over 1. I work with my numerator first, and I get a common denominator, which will be x. So this needs an x, and this needs an x. So I'm going to have, my common denominator is x. I'm going to have x plus 1. That's my numerator. Then in my denominator, my common denominator is also x. And then I'm going to have x times 1, which is x minus 1. Then what I'm going to use, because now I have a division problem, and I'm going to use my rule of keep, change, flip. So I'll keep the first, change this to multiplication, and flip this one. And if I see anything that I can divide out, I'll do it now. Then I'm left with x plus 1 over x minus 1. And then we're done. Okay, so let's do one more. I forgot in this particular problem to do my exclusions. So I look everywhere and I see a variable in the denominator. So I'm going to start at the beginning. So x cannot equal 0, because that's this one. Where else? Here, it can't equal 1. And I think that is it. So anytime you have a term in the denominator, then you have to exclude, or a variable, you have to look and see what would make the value 0. Okay, my numerator is good because there's only one fraction. So I'm good with that one. The denominator is where we have the problem. So what I'm going to do first is factor this. So it looks like this now. And if you notice, I need a common denominator. So this one needs an x plus 1. Bottom and top. Okay, so I'm going to leave my numerator again like it is. So I have my common denominator is x minus 3 and x plus 1. So in the top, I have 1 plus, and I'm just going to distribute that 1. So it'll be x plus 1. And then I'll just simplify it. So it'll be combining like terms, x plus 2 over my common denominator. So now I have a division problem. So it looks like this. Then I'm going to do keep, change, flip. So I keep my first fraction, change division to multiplication, and then I'm going to flip my second fraction. And once I get here, I cancel out or divide anything that I can. So I'm left with x minus 3 over x plus 2. Now, I didn't do the exclusions on the last example, but I'll go ahead and do them here. Anywhere you have a term in denominator, you have to exclude those numbers that will make it 0. So x cannot equal, I'm going to start from the top, 3, negative 1. So I'm using this one, I got that covered. This one, I got negative 1. Let's see if I see anything else in the denominator. Oh, that plus 2. So negative 2 is another one. So those are my exclusions. So try to get in the habit each time of excluding numbers in your denominator that will make the value 0. And that's it.